Hi, this is Rabbi Shmuel Pollan. I want to make a commercial announcement that the All In For God book is now available at allinforgod.com. It will be the answer to any challenges that an atheist might bring up. It will also help you find your life's purpose, which is exactly what this particular show is all about. My name is Rabbi Shmuel Pollan. This is the Light Unto the Nations show. And we did a part one of what is my life's purpose. And we'll go over now just a little bit of what we said so we can hit the ground running. And I don't have a video editor, so you will have to please bear with me as I get my notes together and get everything together. We said that there are two rabbis, and one of them believes that the life's purpose is to do a favor for another, and the other one believes that it is to fix one character trait, and we need to do really both. And we talked about how to fix your own character trait by connecting with a rabbi, using the Chabad Locator app. Locate your Chabad rabbi in your area. He will help you fix up your character trait. We talked about how to connect with all your sets, having a set with God, having a set with your parents, having a set with your friends, having a set with your children. And this is all encapsulated in a particular line. We said that many people go to the grave without figuring out what their life's purpose is. Those who know it are at a huge advantage in every facet of life. They have more clarity, passion, focus, and happiness. They make more money and much more. Fortunately for the no-hide, which is the non-Jew, the answer is going to be clear once we get through this particular show. We said that your life's purpose is not getting rich or having a great body or anything else materialistic or anything else where we're seeking perfection. The perfection is in the story itself. So there are going to be challenges, and don't expect to be ever perfect in your life. We said that we can encapsulate your life's purpose in one short sentence, which we will unpack. The sentence is, we are two families working towards one goal, a better, more godly world. And we spoke about how to make a better world with going to soup kitchens or going to children's hospitals or paying people compliments. But in this episode, we're going to talk more about the godly world, how to make a godly world. We said that the Jew is like the quarterback and the non-Jew is like the wide receiver. I'm supposed to give you ideas on how to fix up the world. I'm supposed to point out where things are wrong in the world, and you are supposed to fix it. I work alongside you, cleaning up the world, fixing up the world, but it is really the job of the Gentile to actually implement this. So we said part of the mission of the Jew and the non-Jew is to make a godly world. If our life's purpose is to do a favor for someone, the favor can be physical or it can be spiritual. There's a difference between a better world and a godly world. A godly world is a world infused with spirituality. A spiritual favor is more long-lasting and meaningful. From the godly perspective, the job of a no-hide is clear: to implement the no-hide laws. These were the laws given to Adam and Noah that are the basis of all civilization. The no-hide laws are Noah's Ark. It's like the world is in a flood, and this is the only way to stay sane and to stay connected with God. They are the only hope for civilization. That means implementing them in your life and in your family, implementing them in your local and national government, and not just as laws, but as commands from God, never to be changed, is essential. To start on this path, we need to get God back into the public sphere. Can you call a congressman in your local government once a week and say that you are against the separation of church and state, which is not in the Constitution and is actually unconstitutional? Can you remind them that God is on the money and in the Declaration of Independence, the most important aspects of our country? If so, can you ask them why God is being driven out of our schools and the public sphere? Can you explain to them that preferring one religion over another is wrong, but simply mentioning God in the public sphere is not wrong? Can you tell them that you want school choice so we don't get double taxed for sending our kids to private school, and not having them go through an atheist class, which is we explained in the science sections of this show. Can we call them and ask for a moment of silence, or ideally a moment of prayer? Can you tell them that you want it to be stated in official capacity that the no-hide laws can never be broken because they are given by God at both your state and local government at every level? Can you tell them that every civilization that abandoned these laws eventually crumbled, and you don't want that to happen to the great United States of America? Can you tell them that we are already headed there and we need to act now? Can you tell them that this is the only real safeguard between us and chaos? Can you give them my book for more information? Can you tell them about allinforgod.com? Yes, you can. You can do all of these things, and it will make a difference. It will. Some of you watching this may have more political power, and you can achieve even more than 100 phone calls can achieve. For you and for the rest, let's take a look at society through the lens of the 7 no-hide laws and see how we can make this world a more godly place. In his kindness, God gave us a blueprint for a godly world, handed down perfectly from God to Adam and Noah, and now to you. In short, the 7 laws say not to worship idols, not to curse God, not to be cruel to animals, not to steal, not to commit adultery, not to murder, and to have courts that enforce the above laws. The laws, of course, are useless without courts to enforce them. We are going to assume that you've done the work of bringing God back into the public sphere, and we can now start following his word. Let's take them one by one, and you'll see where you might fit in. Let's take law number 1. Do not worship idols. Can you imagine what it would be like if all people of all religions came together to pray, not just once, but every day? What would that do for world peace? Just imagining it seems almost like a dream, but it isn't a dream. It's within our reach. It won't be easy, but it can be done. I, as the quarterback, director, or light, will throw you, the nations, the receiver, the actor, the idea, and it's up to you to make it happen. Score the goal or win the Academy Award. I think that's enough metaphors for now. Make the promise of the Bible that we will all pray together as one come to pass. Fulfill that prophecy. Doing this would cause a few religions to have to make some reforms. The Christians would have to start praying to a God of 1 instead of a God of 3. The Catholics would need to stop praying in front of statues. The Hindus would have to start worshiping the God of the Bible instead of the many, many false gods that their religions have perpetuated. And the Buddhists would have to start worshiping the creator of the universe instead of just the universe itself. I can't expect for these religions to make these reforms. It would be nice, but I can't expect it. But I can expect that the people within these religions can come to realize that the truth is that the God of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, and the one who revealed himself at Sinai in front of 3 million Jews, is the one true God. This is the God who created the world and took the Jews out of slavery in Egypt miraculously. He is the author of the 7 no-hide laws that hold civilization together. If we could all get on the same page about who God is, suddenly we could all pray together in the same building. Buddhists could pray with Muslims, and Jews could pray with Christians. One of the prophecies of the Messianic Era is that all mankind will pray together to the same God. I believe that is going to be the shift from identifying ourselves as a particular religion to identifying ourselves as no-hides. I believe one day, soon, all the offspring of Noah will pray to the God of Noah as one. Islam already worships one God, the same God that the Jews worship. I can pray in their mosques. I am actively working on reforming the ideas of the Hindus in India. Christians are taught the Trinity, but are they married to the concept? I know they are married to Jesus, but are they married to the idea that God is 3 and not 1? Or does it make more sense that what the Bible clearly says 18 times is actually the truth, that God is 1 and his name is 1? You'll see it in Deuteronomy 4:35, Deuteronomy 6:4, Deuteronomy 32:39, 2 Samuel 7:22, 1 Kings 8:60, 2 Kings 5:15, 2 Kings 19:15, 1 Chronicles 17:20, Nehemiah 9:6, Psalms 18:31, Psalms 86:10, Isaiah 37:16 and 20, Isaiah 43:10 and 11, Isaiah 44:6 and 8, Isaiah 45:21, 45:21, Isaiah 46:9, Hosea 13:4, and Zechariah 14:9. God took 18 verses from his holy Bible to repeat that he is one, not three. I think that means that it's important to him. And I'm sure if you share this information with sweetness and kindness, most any honest, truth-seeking Christian will be open to the change. Jesus, after all, was, without a doubt, an Orthodox Jew, and without a doubt, he believed in one God. Show them the Bible verses that I just posted here and simply ask them, who says they still don't apply? Did God change? Did he suddenly become three? The Bible clearly says God cannot change. Ani havaya loy shinisi. I cannot change. I do not change. With sweetness and kindness, there's no limit to what you can accomplish. I believe we can amass billions who are no-hide first and Muslim, Buddhist, Christian second. They can be a Christian and be free of any idol worship. That means they can be a pious Christian, no-hide. That would be a huge step in the right direction. When he makes that move, he can then feel comfortable praying in a synagogue or a mosque, and we can feel comfortable praying in their church. This could be where no-hide houses step in, to house those of many religions for unified prayer. That is my dream. And if everyone buys or lends, all in for God, to 3 Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, or Hindu people, we will indeed reach billions. Don't just give them the book, though. Ask them to discuss the book so the ideas sink in. The more mankind unites under the belief in one God, the more these overlaps will happen. You are all already welcome to pray at any Chabad Orthodox synagogue, which you have already found if you've done your homework, and I highly recommend that you do pray there. That's the closest thing we have right now to a no-hide house. Blasphemy is not common today, thank God. This is a law that is easily kept and is kept by nearly all of humanity. I don't want to speak much more of it because I don't want to give anyone any ideas. Although textbook blasphemy may not be common, there are many things that in our view on a daily basis that are blasphemous. Satanism and promotion of promiscuity in music should be removed from the public airways where they never belonged in the first place. All of television and radio needs to be made adult-oriented, yet child-friendly, because children will inevitably wind up viewing it, and children come first. Those shows with themes exclusively for adults need to be on exclusively adult channels where they cannot be viewed by children. Would anyone disagree with this? Would anyone disagree with a minor inconvenience to adults to protect the innocence of the entire next generation? Do we really want our children bombarded with lewd lyrics and S&M portrayed as art? Look how far we've sunk in just a few decades morally. Media standards have fallen through the floor. They should at least be raised back up to the level where they were in the 60s when television was a modicum wholesome and educational. One person can change this, the right person. We need to locate this person in that position of power and get him to change his mind. Short of this, each of us can make it happen if we work together. What if all of us collectively bombarded one radio station with calls that said, I thank you for your music, but in my opinion, your moral standards have fallen too low for me, so I am leaving for another station. I would like to put your station on while I'm in the car, but sadly, I no longer can because it is inappropriate for my children. Please stop promoting sex and or drugs on a station that my insert age of your child, year old, can hear. Once again, with sweetness and kindness, your tone is even more important than what you say. If everyone did this together, courteously, imagine what impact it would have. Email me at lightuntothenations.com. Get the email, reply to it, and let me know if you would like me to start a forum where you can all get together and plan these, quote, attacks. Or better yet, create one amongst yourselves. Remember, my job is to throw the ideas. Your job is to catch them and run them into the end zone. So go to it. Law number 3, cruelty to animals. PETA, the People for Ethical Treatment of Animals, champions some great causes that align perfectly with the no-hide laws, which are staunchly against mistreatment of animals. In principle, we would disagree with PETA, whose motto on their website says, animals are not ours to eat. That seems to be a direct attack on the Bible, which states the animal kingdom actually is there for our use, Genesis 9:3. It's there for our use, but they must be dealt with kindly. Animals can be killed, but they must be killed in the most absolutely humane manner possible, which is the kosher slaughtering process. That process is completely painless. Kosher slaughterers check their knives on their fingernails after every slaughter to ensure that there's not so much as a nick in the blade, so it should not cause so much as a split second of pain. The vast majority of people agree that it's okay to eat animals, but that it must be done humanely. There are many practices here and around the world that are clearly inhumane, and they should be stopped. And PETA is an organization that already has the funding and connections to stop it. We should support them for that reason. We would stand firmly against their naked anti-fur tactics and other of their radical methods, as well as their mandatory vegetarianism stances. But the majority of the work they do is critical for the protection of animal welfare and well-being, and if they don't do it, will you? An influx of support from no-hides would certainly go a long way towards influencing them to rethink their methods. Here are a few examples of their work. In 1984, PETA closed down a Texas slaughterhouse operation in which 30,000 horses were trucked in and left to starve in frozen fields without shelter. In 1986, as a result of PETA's campaign, the SEMA Research Laboratory in Maryland stopped confining chimpanzees to isolation chambers. And in 1990, after PETA exposes the backstage beating of orangutans by Las Vegas entertainer Bobby Berosini, his wildlife permit was suspended and his show closed. In 1995, PETA persuaded Mobil, Texas, Pennzoil, Shell, and other oil companies to cover their exhaust stacks after showing how millions of birds and bats have become trapped in them and been burned to death. And the list goes on and on. This is an organization we should be giving money to, and we should be working alongside. When you give the money, let them know which aspects of your organization you support and which aspects you don't. Law number 4, refrain from sexual immorality. Books, movies, and music which encourage sexual immorality would no longer be given center stage in a no-hide world. They would be put on adult channels where they cannot harm any longer. I don't recommend it for adults either. Production companies would adopt moral standards. No longer would sex sells be a reason to come out with a movie. Cheapening sex and degrading women is a crime against our morality and our humanity. We should boycott movies with explicit material. The cheater in a marriage would be at a financial disadvantage in divorce cases. So that would be the end of no-fault divorce. This would certainly put a damper on the temptation to cheat and break up families. Moving on to law number 5, do not steal. In a no-hide world, Wall Street would be prosecuted for the heist known as the housing bubble crash, in which the taxpayers bailed out banks who were reckless with our money. The monies would be returned to their rightful owners, and those companies who risked other people's money and lost their bets would be allowed to fail. The same will be said for any other such schemes that have been pickpocketing the people. Quite a bit of money needs to be returned. The way money is created these days in general is through theft. Google what I'm about to say if you don't believe it. Money is created as a debt when it should be created as a credit. It's called the central banking system, and almost every country has one. The people gaining from the central banking system need to be identified and prosecuted. The interest owed, canceled, and the money gotten returned. In a no-hide world, most people would be flooded with tax refunds. They would have more money than they know what to do with after being paid back for all of these heists. In America and the UK, the theft is covert. In the third world countries, it is overt. Politicians in all third world countries steal the money from the poor for themselves and often live like kings while children starve to death. I've seen this with my own eyes. This would simply stop quickly in a no-hide world. Moving on to law number 6, do not murder. In a no-hide world, a tougher stance would be taken against terrorist groups to ensure they are taken down with a vengeance and never able to rear their ugly heads again. The U.S. government is already undertaking this measure, but they haven't taken out terrorist groups like Hamas. When children die as a result of politicians taking money that is not theirs, that is also considered murder. Senseless killings in inner cities need to be stopped. This is also being worked on by the US government. Large-scale wars like the war in Iraq, which killed 1 million Iraqis, need to be replaced with small covert operations from the air which target what needs to be targeted and nothing more. Satanists who engage in child sacrifice should be stopped and jailed immediately. Yes, this is actually happening in the US and far more so in the third worlds. It usually happens with those who are above the law, and in a no-hide world, no one would be above God. Pollution decreases our lifespan. Therefore, it's a subtle form of murder. The adoption of wind and solar energy that do not harm our health would be established as soon as possible. Abortion is murder after 40 days of development, unless the mother is in danger. Euthanasia is murder. They both need to be brought to a halt. Anything that shortens the lifespan is murder and will stop. There should be more and better hotlines for those considering suicide. Compelling marketing should be prominent on radio and television, promoting the idea that suicide is not the answer. Law number 7, establish courts that will ensure all the above is implemented. Who in their right mind could disagree with any of these initiatives? They are the essence of logic, and it doesn't matter what side of the political aisle you come from. We all agree on these basic principles. That's why they are the basic principles. And would they be implemented, we will all be worshiping the same God, have world peace, zero hunger, zero violence, and we would all have enough, more than enough money to live on, and we would be well on our way to heaven on earth. Even if you might disagree with something I said here, please understand that we all agree on far more than we disagree. We are simply not pooling our collective power to get all of this done. We are being bamboozled by one political charade after another. If we would all stop all the games and rally behind the essentials, we would have everything we want in no time. 90% of the people will agree it's more biblical to pray to one who created the universe and revealed himself to 3 million people than a God of 3 that never revealed himself. 90% of people will agree that we should not allow bird farmers to starve their chickens to death. 90% of people will agree that bankers and Wall Street tycoons shouldn't be allowed to steal our livelihood to line their pockets even more than they already have. 90% of people will agree we must stop politicians in the third world countries from stealing bread from the mouths of babes in India. Many will agree that we need to stop euthanasia and the murder of innocent babes in the womb. 90% of people will agree that our television and radio should be more wholesome. 90% of people will agree that terrorist groups should be immediately destroyed and unnecessary wars stopped. 90% of people will agree that one who has cheated in a relationship should be penalized in the court proceedings. As for the other 10%, the news for these folks is not good. During the first redemption, under Moses' command, 4/5 of the people did not believe in the idea of the redemption, so they never made it out. I will leave it to you to fill in the blanks as to how this applies to our current setting. The real key to making this work is making the change permanent, and that requires those in power to agree that it's permanent, i.e., that it's something from the unchanging God. There is no sense in fixing a society only for it to fall into disrepair. Bringing the world into compliance with God's world, the 7 no-hide laws, with God's word, the 7 no-hide laws is just the first step towards making this a more godly world. Hold on. What does a godly world even mean? Let's describe it. The rabbis say our goal is to make this world into God's home. Home is where the truth comes out. When you're outside and you conform to society. We see who you really are when you get home. The test of a marriage is not how well it does in front of others. The test is at home, where the real people come out. So being at home is another way of saying your true self is openly revealed in that place. Clearly, at this time, God is not revealed in this world. He revealed himself at Sinai, and he reveals himself to the prophets of each generation, but most don't get more than that. We can recognize some of his greatness in this world, but this is hardly God being at home. Where is God at home now? More so in heaven. The pleasure the souls feel in heaven is unimaginable to us. That pleasure is a result of how much God is revealed there. It's appropriate for God to reveal himself there because it's clean, pristine, totally spiritual, and always holy. Everyone in heaven is in a constant state of awareness and awe of God, it's fit for a king. This world, on the other hand, is quite a different story. People here deny God even exists, and those who know he exists rarely think about him. The world is full of fear, sadness, corruption, sickness, and death. Children are kidnapped and abused every day. People are shot and killed every day. Half the world is using drugs, legal or illegal, just to get through the day. And God says, there, right there, in that world, that's where I want to make my home. That's where I want to reveal myself even more than I reveal myself in heaven, in the most unlikely of places. But it isn't fit for a king yet. Yes, that's right. And now you know your life's purpose, to make the entire world fit for a king. That's exactly where you step in. As a Noahide, your job is to make this earth into heaven on earth so God can move in and make it his home. Whether Jew, Gentile, Muslim, Christian, Indian, Canadian, Italian, Republican, or Democrat, this is the goal we all share and the call we all must hear, to make this world into a home for God, which will bring upon us ever-increasing supernal bliss for at least 1,000 years. We'll be reunited with our loved ones, and there will be a world of peace, harmony, no more sickness and death, no need for money, because the only job will be to know God more. In short, paradise. And that's just the perks. That's not the pleasure of knowing God himself in this world, a pleasure so great it caused the Jewish people to literally die when they experienced it. We won't die this time, of course. The revelation will be gradual and perfect. So not only will we not die, all the souls in heaven will come here to be part of the experience. To get there, the literal environment needs to be cleaned, and the spiritual environment needs to be cleaned even more. We have a lot of work to do, and we need to move fast. Our floor is not swept, there are stains on the carpet, the furniture is all upside down, and the sink is filled with grimy dishes. That's what we need to clean up. Until then, you wouldn't even want him to come home. It would be a disgrace. My job as a Jew is to discover what exactly is out of order and explain to you what needs to be done. Show you how to notice the stains on the carpet and how to clean the dishes. It's the job of the Gentile, the wide receiver, to actually get it done, run that ball into the end zone. I will also do your job along with you, but my primary job is to give clarity as to what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to do it. Clarity, light unto the nations. Light gives you clarity. That's what I'm supposed to do for you. That's how two players work together and reach the same goal. Our spiritual mission together is clear: to make this world a world where God will feel at home. We need to make it heaven on earth. That's only stage one, though. Once it's heaven on earth, then God can move in and the true bliss begins. Every religion can agree on this goal. Every political party can agree on this goal. Every single nationality can agree on this goal. The question becomes, how do we do that? We have to right every wrong, the wrongs that I just mentioned in the previous section. Obviously, one person is not expected to right all of them, but you are expected to right the wrongs of your own life and in the lives of those around you. If everyone only does that together, we are going to clean up every mess in no time. We are going to stop every crime. More than that, we will cure the hatred and callousness that is the source of all crime and end the division in the entire world. If this idea is so universally accepted and loved, why isn't everyone doing it? That's the quarterback's fault. That's my fault for not calling the troops together and throwing them the ball until now. Until today, I have kept all the details of the no-hide laws to myself. I apologize. The no-hide laws are the key towards fixing the world in a way that will unite us all. If each person is trying to fix the world in his own way and not working with the others, we have no hope. It is only together with the roadmap of the no-hide laws that we will succeed, because that is God's original roadmap to redemption from the beginning of time. That is the recipe for heaven on earth. We're going to have to blanket this world in spirituality, love of God, kindness, and love of each other. It's a big job. It almost seems impossible right now, but we will have the Messiah to help us do it. And when his great work is done, finally, God will come back here and be at home for 1,000 years of bliss. This may even be easier than you think. According to the Lubavitcher Rebbe, my mentor, it only takes a handful of sincere people working together to bring the entire redemption. If you feel in your heart that you are one of those few people, email me by signing up at untothenations.com. Remember the movie Lean on Me? A new principal, Morgan Freeman, came into a school that was dirty, crime infested, and where no one was learning. He was one man. He had the vision and strength of heart. He told the people what needed to be done, and they got it done. The school was completely turned around in a matter of months. He was the Messiah of that school. We need to do that for the entire world in a more loving manner than he did. Now, and since there are Gentiles all over the world, if properly mobilized, this can actually happen faster than you might ever imagine. The Gentile just needs to know where to go for its clarity. The rabbis, the Chabad rabbis like myself. He needs to know what needs to be done and take action. I will do my best to study, write books, build connections in high places, and figure out exactly what you need to do to bring the redemption and find ways to make it easy. But it's up to you to implement and score the touchdown. When the job is done, the meeting of all of us and God will be like the meeting of long-lost lovers. It will seem so familiar and it will be such a relief, like you're finally getting back to the way it was always meant to be. The world itself will be the canopy, the wedding canopy, as it were, between us and God, and we will be in a state of bliss and harmony like nothing we've ever experienced before. We will just be together, learning more and more about each other with God, showing us how to do miracles beyond belief for 1,000 years. What happens after the 1,000 years? It has been kept secret. I look forward to it, though, and so should you. Why do I keep mentioning 1,000 years of the Messianic Era? Because the world is on a 7-day week cycle and a 7 millennium cycle. It has lasted for 5,780 years as of this writing, and it will last for 7,000 years in total, with the last 1,000 years corresponding to the Sabbath, i.e. the Messianic Era. If you have ever spent time in an Orthodox Jewish home on the Sabbath, you will understand why they say that Sabbath is a taste of the redemption. No one is working or worrying about business. They are only concerned with family and God, and it's so beautiful. You have to get the experience. You have to experience it for yourself to know what I mean. It's truly heavenly, and we get to experience it every 7 days. Since the Sabbath millennium starts in the year 6000, you can understand how very close we are to this transition. We are, in fact, closer than you think, because legally, the Sabbath needs to be brought in an hour early. So we are, in fact, at the time, or even over the time, when the Messianic Era is supposed to start. How can this earth possibly have a greater revelation of God than in heaven? I can't describe it, nor do I know it. I have never been to heaven, but I've read in the Kabbalistic texts that something about the revelation of God in this world will be far more tangible than the revelation of God in heaven. There's no rap music in heaven. Maybe God wants to reveal himself there in rap music. Who knows? So to say God wants to be at home in this world, and to say he wants the Messianic Era, and to say that that's the goal of your life, is all saying the same thing. We all want God here. We want him to be reunited with our lost Father in heaven. He's lost to us. He himself is not lost, of course. We are all his children, and we will work together as one to make it happen speedily in our days, to make the world a more godly place and a better place. It's obvious that we need Noahidism. That's the way to unite humanity and bring world peace. That's the way to establish our last set, our relationship with God. That's the way for people to finally find their life's purpose. Noahidism gives you direction. And you don't have to reinvent the wheel, and you don't have to embarrass yourself to teach it. This book will be in your hands. Loan it to someone. Drop it off with a note saying, thought you'd like this. This book was made for people of all faiths, including atheists. You can do this with anyone. All the better. You can buy a book for someone. That will have even more of an impact. Profits are donated to our charity in India or reinvested to sell more books. So this isn't for my benefit, but it is for the benefit of your next door neighbor. Your life's purpose may be to give this book to one person each month. Once you have given them a few weeks, ask them what they thought. See if you can spark a discussion. Soon I'll be releasing a book about the details of the Noahide laws. If you have people who are interested, you can make a daily or weekly study group in the details of the Noahide laws. I haven't spoken much to Jews in this chapter, but if you are a Jew, All of this applies to you and more. If you don't feel like you're in a position to teach, then don't. You have just 7, they have 7 commandments, you have 613. So you have all the more reason to connect with a rabbi at Chabad.org, Chabad Locator, to get started living your life's purpose, because you will do it through these commandments.